Sometimes people pass in unexpected ways. They have an accident, such as a fall, a mishap at work, or a car crash. Sometimes we lose loved ones under extremely unusual and foreign circumstances. Depression sometimes drives people to suicide, and murder is not just something that happens on TV. A person almost never expects these things to happen to their loved ones, and when it does, they want to know exactly what happened and why. So how are they supposed to find this out? Through a coroner. A coroner investigates these types of deaths and determines the cause of death. But who are the coroners? What would make somebody want a job in which they are constantly surrounded by death? We went to the McLean County Coroner's office to try and find some answers to these questions.
How'd you get here, and how did this end up being your career?
I was a volunteer firefighter, and in 1998, the coroner at the time asked if I would work part-time here. In 1998, I had no idea what the coroner's office really did. I just knew that they picked up dead bodies. So I did that as a part-time job and realized the impact that you have on families, the investigative part as far as figuring out why people died, and working with families, trying to get them through that trying time. And collecting that information was just fascinating. So in 2000, when Beth Kimmerly, the coroner now, came on board, I put in for investigations and got it. I'm very fascinated with investigations, and that's kind of what I do.
Like a CSI type?
It's different. The CSI type, I am a crime scene investigator.
Okay.
I've been through all the modules of Northwestern and other areas of crime scene, so I am actually a crime scene investigator also.
We lovingly refer to him as our CSI guy.
I went on your website, and it has a list of I don't know, it had names of people who died, or
Yes.
and then the way that they had
Correct.
died.
Any time that the death is unexpected or sudden, not being seen by a physician. This is the autopsy suite. Kind of looks like a big surgical room. It's obviously stainless steel. This is the table that we generally use, and we'll go through that. But when the bodies come in, they come in on an ambulance cot, very similar to what you see. They'll go in on one of our morgue tables. The body is then signed into this is our morgue sign-in sheet. So to date, 370 people have come into our office
Within 2010.
within 2010.
What's the hardest part about your job?
It's making a notification. I think all of us would tell you that, making a death notification to a family, because that's another part. We have a decedent who has family somewhere, and so we want to make notification to the family as soon as we possibly can. So many times if there's two called out, one will stay at the scene, the other deputy will find family and make notification to that family that their loved one has been killed.
Which
And
we do
that's-
in person.
Yeah.
Don't call anybody on the phone and say, hey, when we go knock on your door, and we will tell you in person what has occurred.
Different ways, and then sometimes when you get to the door and that person answers the door, everything you thought about is
I was going to say
it's gone. Yeah, and you
It's
just
not a human being.
We have no card to read off of. You find the softest way to give them the worst news that they're ever going to hear. And but you still, you want to collect information from them, and it's a very difficult thing that nobody wants to do. And you have to remember when you're doing this that this family is always going to remember your face. And I've had two people of recent literally tell me, I was just the other day out on a different death investigation, and somebody that's involved that I've worked with, unfortunately, her family, we've had numerous run-ins with her. And I saw her the other day, and I've heard this multiple times from different families, I hate your face. I like you, but I hate your face. And it's because they'll always remember me as the one that just told them that their son, daughter, wife, husband was just killed or died suddenly. So when you tell them that, they're always going to remember it. So you better do it professionally, very clean and direct. And we try not to beat around the bush and say, they passed away or they're gone now. You tell them directly that this person has died.
because it many times will take times to a few seconds or a few minutes even to register, and sometimes you have to say they are deceased, they did not survive their injuries, they are dead, because the person will keep asking you, hospital are they at? I want to go see them. And then you'll say, you know, I'm sorry, but they did not survive their injuries, or you might finally get to the point where you just say, you know, they're dead.
You have to be pretty blunt.
But
yeah.
soft and,
Yeah.
you know, reverent.
Yeah.
And we don't initially, you don't say, hi, I'm Barb, I'm from the coroner's office. We don't ever do that, and I don't think none of us do that. And I always say, I'm an investigator with the county. I introduce myself, and I'm an investigator with the county. We don't have uniforms, so if someone dies this afternoon, either Dave could show up with this shirt on at somebody's front door, or I'm gonna show up like this at somebody's front door. And sometimes, and we do have coats and things that we wear in the winter that have our emblem on them, and sometimes.
Doing this when you're knocking on the
Yeah,
door,
sometimes
scratching
you're
your
holding a
shoulder,
note,
cover
yeah,
it
or
up
holding a
for
notepad or
domestic
something.
violence.
Sometimes I don't like even having those because, yeah, you're trying to talk to them and they're looking at your shirt and, you know, and
Yeah, they
just.
see the word coroner.
Yeah,
on there,
the
and then all of a
emotion
sudden-
just,
You've
yeah,
lost them.
starts. So if I can initially just say I'm an investigator with the county, I'm here to talk to you. Do you have a son? Do you have a son, Kyle? And, well, I need to talk to you about Kyle. And can we come in? Can I sit down? You know, sometimes you say there's been an incident involving your son. Do you know was he maybe in the area of such and such, Center and Olive Street this afternoon? And then finally get to the point where we do tell them that they're deceased.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of in the military, when you see that certain officer coming to your door, then that is a
Yes.
sign that the news isn't good.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we've talked among us too. It's something you never get used to. I always am nervous. I mean, we all, and I know Beth is too. I imagine, Dave, when you're going up to make that notification, I still get nervous, but we have all said too, you know what, if we get to the point where a notification doesn't bother us, if it's easy for us to do, then we better find another job.
Number. Here is your typical toe tag. It's not necessarily like on TV, but when
Yeah.
people come in, they're placed in a body bag, and I'll show you what a standard body bag looks like. And this just has, the name of the person, the number, the case number that's assigned to them, the county that they came from, date, time, and the weight.
On the flip side of that, when you're in the office, are there moments of lightness or fun? I know you don't want to have fun, but you're
Well,
human
we have what we
beings
call morgue humor.
Okay.
And, and truly, because you know what, sometimes if we didn't laugh, we'd cry.
Yeah.
Truly, if we
Yeah.
didn't laugh, we would cry.
No, it's completely, and I'll show you. This is what a typical body bag
I'm worried
looks like.
about this one.
I'll be
Another
okay.
question. Now, this is a child bag, but here, I'll just use this. Here's a standard bag.
Yeah.
There's something like, we've got blue, which has got handles. It's more heavy duty, so somebody that might be heavier or, died from, where there's blood or fluids coming from the body, we'll put them in that. We've got heavy duty black ones, and then we've got gray ones for the people that are, 4, 5, 6, 700 pounds. For larger, they're, and then here's one that's not as bad. We can hold, table-wise, I believe we have about 15 to 20 tables. If we go to the shelving system, we can hold about 30 bodies in here. So it's just, they become, they stay here for a little while. So,
Yeah, that was a kind of question. Something that finances